So, hi everyone, and welcome back to most of you, or welcome if you're new to our language program. We're now in our third class, intermediate ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. So, thank you for those who have joined us for the last two, or if you're joining us from other experience, I hope you enjoy this first class, which is a refresher, and then jumping into some new text reading and getting on to literature in this course, I believe. Is that right, Joe?
Yes, at the very end, yes.
Yeah, perfect. So,
Yeah, don't worry, we're not going to launch straight into Egyptian literature.
no, no, we'll get there slowly, don't worry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for joining us. Of course, if you do have any questions, please email me at events@ees.ac.uk for anything logistics. Anything hieroglyphic based, please do email Joseph at josephclayton127@gmail.com, but we'll provide that in writing on the Google Drive and in the chat and various places as well. So, just to introduce him as your tutor, for those who don't know him yet, Joseph Clayton is a specialist in the ancient Egyptian language. He has PhD in Egyptian philology and linguistics from the University of Liverpool and taught ancient Egyptian language at Birkbeck College, University of London for nearly 20 years. But that's enough from me, sick of hearing me today, especially if you were on our event earlier. So I'm going to hand over to Joseph. Thank you again for teaching this brilliant course, and great to hear that some of you have already been reading hieroglyphs in museums. So carrying on the journey today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, that is really good to hear. It is. I always find it's really great that when you can actually put the stuff into practice. So I think I mentioned this before, though, that what people usually find with these courses is you're going like, oh, this is really hard. This is really hard. Like, oh, I'm having trouble with this. Then one day it just suddenly all falls into place, and you think like, oh, it's not that bad. This Egyptian stuff. You know, I can recognise the signs. I know where to look things up. And as I mentioned many times before as well, you may see it on documentaries, you may see it on television or whatever. Somebody coming up and like supposedly like scraping the sand off an inscription, and then going yeah, blah blah blah, and then just reading it straight off, or just finding a papyrus and reading it straight off without even like that. There's virtually nobody in the world who can do that without a dictionary and without a thing. I mean, there are people who can do that, but very very few. So don't expect to be doing that anytime soon. Yeah, so anyway, right, so let's get back to the intermediate Egyptian hieroglyphs. As usual, I'm going to start off with a recap. So, just to check that you remember the stuff, or maybe to clear up things as well, just to kind of ease you into it gently. There's going to be some new stuff as well, but it's going to be mostly a recap today, just to make sure you know what you're doing. Right, or for people who have not done the course with me before as well, to see where we're up to, how much stuff we've done, how much grammar we've done. So, right, very simple. We'll start with this direction of reading. So you read into the faces of if things have got face, or they've got things, or they've got legs, or whatever, or birds which have got faces as well. Whichever way they're facing, you read into them. So this one, you see, we've got a man here, we've got a bird here, we've got another man. They're all facing left, so you read from left to right. This one, on the bottom, they're all facing the other way, so it's right to left. Okay. Uh, yeah, you do get them written sometimes the opposite way around, where you actually read the opposite way, and this is what's called retrograde. It's writing in retrograde. It's not very common that the entire tomb of Akmosi, son of Abana, is written in retrograde, and there's a few religious texts written in retrograde, but it's not that common. But anyway, but when you're reading vertically, same principle. See, this snake is facing right there. This bird is facing right. This bird's facing right, and there's a person facing right. So you're reading from right to left in this column. Okay, so you work your way down. So this would be your first sign, second sign, third sign, fourth sign. But then we get to three signs next to each other. We're reading from right to left. So that would be first, that would be second, that would be third. Okay, then you carry on down. And then again, we've got two signs next to each other. Because everybody's facing to the right, you read this one first and that one second. Okay, and then again, you've got that. So same thing on this column. It's the opposite way, reading from left to right, reading into the faces. So be this one first, that one, and then you've got two on the same line. So that would be this one first, that one second. Okay, then again it's down, and then again two on the same thing, so reading into the faces. Yeah, so then we've got those. These are fairly straightforward. But now, if we look at this one, slightly trickier at the bottom here, that we're reading downwards first, and then we're reading from left to right. So we've got this one, the downwards takes priority, so that one comes next, that one comes last. So this one first, that one second. Sorry, that one first, that one second, because they're on the same level, and this one determinative last. Okay. When they're writing columns, they're not always consistent about the things with determinative and stuff, but anyway. Also, direction of reading. Told you this loads of times before, but 99% of the time hieroglyphs read from right to left. The only time they read from left to right is when the things on either side of a doorway or on either side of a coffin, or things which need to be symmetrical. So, yeah. Different types of hieroglyphs: phonetic signs, ideograms, and determinative. Obviously, the phonetic ones are sound signs. Ideograms are of objects, things which you can draw a picture of, and determinatives tell you what category things fall into. You'll also see when you look in Gardner and things, Gardner's sign list and stuff, which you should be familiar with at this stage, you'll see that he also has categories like semi-phonetic signs and semi-ideographic signs and things as well, which is that's basically when you're not entirely sure which category something falls into, whether it's just a picture of something, whether it's used phonetically. So it's or used for both. So yeah, but anyway, let's have a look at the basic phonetic signs. Got your Egyptian alphabet, as it's called. You've got. Well, you should know this as well. You should learn the order of it as well, because you need this for using dictionaries. Those of you who are on the last course, remember we looked at Faulkner things before as well. So, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, you need to know all these. I'm not going to go all the way through this, but just the odd ones like the Arabic signs, like the Aleph there, which is the signs we don't have in English, which is like a kind of a glottal stop, like in the middle of bottle. We've got Ayin as well, which is it's a rough A sound from the back of the throat. We don't have that sign in English either. And then you've got the H's. You can either do these properly. This is a rough H from the back of the throat, like this one is from the middle, is a kind of like loch. And this one is from the front, like German ish. So, yeah. The first one is just a normal one. If you don't want to be having trouble with your throat or giving yourself a sore throat or anything by pronouncing all these properly if you're not used to it, just say normal H, H with a dot, H with a loop, H with a line. Not that you actually have to say those unless you're explaining to one of your friends or something in a museum with all your newfound knowledge. But it'd probably be more impressive though to pronounce them properly if you're trying to impress your friends in the museum. Now remember this one as well, this S, you've got two different types of S's, depends how much space you've got. So if you've got a vertical space, a narrow vertical space, you use the first one there, and if you've got a horizontal space, you use the second one. You'll sometimes as well, I'll just warn you now because we're a bit more advanced, so you'll sometimes see in other books that people transliterate that door bolt, the second one as Z. There's no reason at all to do that in Middle Egyptian, because they're absolutely interchangeable. Right, then you've got a sh sound, this lake, so that's S with a circumflex, and this is K with a dot, which also now should really be written with a Q, because that's what's been decided in the thing, but nobody seems to be taking that up. So I think it's actually a good idea to write that with a Q instead of a K with a dot. That's a really rough K, like sort of one. Yeah, and then we've got T with a line under it, loop of rope, that's just a ch sound, and then j. Those are the sounds we don't have in English there, but you really need to learn these and the order, and when you do your transliteration, when you put all your Egyptian words into these characters, like everything you have on your sheet should be from this column with the letters in, okay? Don't want to see any O's or E's or C's or other things. like that which don't appear. Nothing, you shouldn't be writing anything that doesn't appear in these columns. Actually, to be fair, like all the homeworks I've had for the last course, like I don't think anybody's done anything like that. I think you've got the idea of that, but just think of that. You don't want to have anything which you don't have, which isn't in that column, in that second column. Okay, when you do your transliteration. Right. Okay. Now, different types of phonetic signs. We've got biliteral signs, and as the name suggests, represents two letters. So we've got this one, per, so that's P plus R, it's like per, okay? Car is K plus Aleph, which is car. Yeah. Were, the swallow, W plus R, okay? Right, and also, what's important as well, so triliteral signs, same principle, is onk. You can just write it by itself, but it's in plus n plus h with a loop, and nefer is n plus if plus r, and waser is w plus s plus r. Now, phonetic complements, these are really important because a lot of signs have two different readings. So to make sure you've got the right reading, what you do, you put an extra letter after it. Sometimes you get a letter before it, but that's pretty rare. So, for instance, if you've got this per sign here, to confirm that it reads per and not anything else, you write an R underneath. So the thing that follows it, the phonetic complement, you write the phonetic complement, if it's already got an R in it, we know that sign reads per. We know this one is just to confirm that that sign reads per and not any of its other readings, and we transliterate that as per. But if you look at this one here, we've got per plus R plus another R. So the first one, like we know that reads per because we've got an extra R to confirm that reading, so we get rid of that one, but we've still got another R. So that one reads per. So the first one is a phonetic complement to confirm the reading, but the second one is an extra letter. You could do this with triliterals as well. So you've got the onk sign, which reads that, onk, and then you've got an N and an H with a loop. So that's already in there. They've got to be in the right order, these, and H with a loop. That's already there. So you know the whole thing just reads onk, okay? Same with nefer. We've got that, so we've got an F and we've got an R. So the F is already in nefer, in the middle there, and the R is already there. So that's going to read nefer, okay? Same with, so waser, that jackal head with a stick reads waser, a jackal-headed stick, but we've got an extra S, which is already in there, and an extra R to confirm that it reads waser and nothing else. Now this is important for phonetic complements for triliterals. Triliterals can have no phonetic complements. They can have one phonetic complement, or they can have two phonetic complements, but they can never have three. You'll never see a triliteral with three phonetic complements, not in Middle Egyptian anyway. Old Egyptian, they just make up the rules as they go along because they're not entirely sure what the rules are for writing things because it's not been standardised properly. Yeah, but in Middle Egyptian, you're never going to get three phonetic complements for a triliteral. Biliterals can have no phonetic complements. They can have one phonetic complement, and some have two phonetic complements as well. So you can have none, one, or two for biliterals, but triliterals you can have none, one, or two, but not three. Okay, so if you've got an extra letter which looks like a phonetic complement, you've probably done something wrong. Yeah. Okay. Right. Another type of word. Ideograms. Ideograms is the easiest way to write a word, but it's got to be something which you can actually draw a picture of. It's got to be a physical thing, like a noun or something like that. You can't really do abstract things with ideograms. And all you do for these, dead easy, you draw a picture of the thing and you put a stroke next to it. So we've got a picture of the sun, stroke next to it, and we know that means sun. How do we know what it reads? Well, you either have to trust me because I tell you, or you look it up in Ghana. Same here, we've got era, so it might be ear plus a T. It might have a T on it as well, an ideogram. It's got, as long as it's got a stroke. It could be iret, so that would be a feminine ideogram. Would be one sign plus a T plus a stroke. So an ideogram is either one sign plus a stroke or one sign plus a T plus a stroke. There are occasional ones which we've seen, which will be coming up as well. Actually, today is ones like this one, which is tar, where they like to put this a kind of determinative on the ideogram to make it into a nice square, and that means land. So you occasionally get things like that. It's pretty rare. Ideograms virtually always one sign plus a stroke or one sign plus a T plus a stroke. Okay. Now, if you want to write a plural of an ideogram, you can write it 3 times like that. You can do the ideogram and you can put 3 strokes after it, and usually the stroke from the ideogram gets assimilated into the plural strokes. Sometimes you'll get like another little stroke next to it, but it virtually always gets assimilated into the plural strokes. Or you can write the plural strokes next to it there, like on this one. But anyway, whatever happens, it's still a plural of an ideogram, and the plural, that's a masculine one, it's not got a T on the end, so that would be cow, the plural. Feminine ones. Feminine ones, for some reason, the T doesn't, the stroke doesn't always get assimilated, much less often than it does with the masculine ones. So if we have Hars would be one land, we can just put plural strokes next to it. So that's just Hars sign plus a T plus a stroke. So that would be foreign lands. Or this one as well, you can see that's got the T and the plural strokes, but it's got the plural stroke has been the stroke to say it's an ideogram has been assimilated into the plural strokes. And this one, this is a fairly common way of writing it as well. It's just to write 3 land signs and not bother with a T or a stroke. So yeah, or you might get it 3 things with a T if you're lucky, or sometimes even 3 things and plural strokes, but generally they just write it like that. Even the feminine ones can be written with just 3 things with no T. Right, okay, so that's the simplest way of writing a word, so one sign plus a stroke, or one sign plus a T plus a stroke, okay? Determinatives. Now these are important because these are what category the word falls into. I've got some common ones here. That, for instance, this one with a man with his hand to his mouth is very common. That's anything to do with eating, speaking, talking, anybody who's got anything to do with anything that goes into the mouth or comes out of the mouth. So that also includes emotions as well, like the one we've got here, to want, to love, or to wish. It's the same thing because, you know, your emotions are expressed out of your mouth as well. So it's yeah, and what we got here, so what we've got, a biliteral which reads mer, okay. Then we've got plus r, which is here. So the r is the same as the r in mer, so we know that's just confirming the reading, so we can get rid of that, and we know that it reads mer. About the I in brackets, we'll come across that later, but that shows that it's a weak verb when you look it up in a dictionary. And that means to want, to love, or to wish. Now this is another very common determinatives. You spell the word out and then put the determinative on the end to show what category it falls into, and that is a sparrow, which is small, bad, or evil, or insignificant, or anything like that, or lowly, or wretched, all those kind of things. Yeah, so what we've got here, just got 3 alphabetic signs, K, T, T. So you've got ketet, and then the bird shows you what category it falls into, which is small or bad things, and ketet does actually mean small. Right, now this is another very, very common thing as well, because this is the papyrus roll, and this is the one you use for things you can't draw pictures of. This is for abstract concepts. Okay, so yeah, you also use it for things like big as well and stuff as well, because you know big is a pretty vague concept as well. This is why you use a papyrus roll as an abstract concept, because big is quite relative. So yeah, I mean, even small is as well, but small is something that you can, basically smaller than a human, which I think is probably a much narrower category than big, because there are an awful lot of things which are bigger than a human. So, anyway. But this one shows this is an abstract concept, and it's spelt at the beginning. It's spelt E, alphabetic sign, and P. So, ip, count, or reckon. You shouldn't even have to think about the alphabetic signs and single ones. You should have learnt all those. You should have learned those thoroughly. You should be able to just see those in your sleep or whatever if you're learning your Egyptian properly. But anyway, now this next one has got the sun determinative on it. So we saw it before as an ideogram. It had a stroke next to it, meant it actually was the sun, but here it's got nothing and it's the end of the word, so it's showing you what category the word goes into. So this is something to do with either brightness, light, or time, because this is how you measure time, is with the sun as well. In this case, it's probably all three of those actually, because we've got spelled E, T, N, three alphabetic signs again. So we've got E10, the sun disk. Okay, so right, something that's shiny. We've got the disc there. It's something that measures time as well, and it is in fact something to do with the sun. In fact, so it could be any of those things meanings, but yeah. Right, ways of making words. So you've got an ideogram. So you'd be a sign, maybe a sign plus a T plus a stroke, and an example of that is her face. Okay, so we've got her. And then we've got a stroke next to it. Picture of a face, a stroke next to it means face. Okay. That's not a particularly good example, because as we'll see later, the preposition her is also written with a face and a stroke. But anyway, it's quite easy to tell the difference. Right, well, the usual way of making a word is this way, that you have a phonetic spelling. In this case, we've got hedge, a biliteral which reads hedge. So we've got hedge. Yeah, plus J. Okay, so that J is the same as this one, so that's going to be a phonetic complement, so it's just going to read hedge, and that's a verb which means to shine or to be bright. So actually hedgy should have an I in brackets there, but anyway, so this is the ways of making words. Is either you spell it out phonetically and then you put a stroke next to it, or you use an ideogram. Okay, which is a sign plus a stroke. So all words will fall into those categories. Okay. Right, now this is something that's worth learning, these things, common words that don't usually have a determinative. This is actually on a sheet which I'll upload to the Google Drive, but I didn't have much time to put anything on the Google Drive today. So yeah, we've got Ren, name. That if it does have a determinative, it has a man with his hand to his mouth. This one you should learn especially is Jed, which is a very common word which means to say. It's a verb. Again, if that does have a determinative, again it has a man with his hand to his mouth, because it means to speak or to say. This next one, Iri, this is another one to learn as well. This one never has a determinative. I've seen it with an abstract one, but I think that is there for a deliberate reason with the papyrus roll, because it's not quite the same as a normal one. But Iri, remember the I in brackets is just to show that it's a weak verb. Never has a determinative. Ready as well. This is an interesting one because it's got an R in brackets here and an I in brackets. That's what we call a doubly weak verb. So it can drop the R or it can drop the I. But again, this never has a determinative because the actual sign it uses is perfectly okay, shows what it's about, to give, to put or let, because it's a hand giving a triangular loaf. So yeah, and Gemi as well is that's an ibis pecking into the floor, and it takes an M. It occasionally has a papyrus roll, but it virtually never has a determinative, because again the picture actually serves the purpose as well, because ibis look around things. This is what they're famous for, looking things and finding stuff, pricking grubs out of the ground and stuff as well. So you see them looking carefully, then just suddenly going and getting the grubs out of the ground. So yeah, you've got to be very careful doing this though, because remember the verbs, the picture used in a thing is just phonetic there. It's very rare that it actually has anything to do with triliterals. It's much more common that the picture has something to do with what the verb is. But with other ones, you've got to be really careful doing that, because it's really rare that the picture, the biliteral, actually has something to do with the verb. I think this is one of those cases which it was ready to give or to put and get me to find that it has something to do with it, but it's not a good rule to follow that. You will come a cropper, as they say, if you follow that rule all the time, because vast majority of signs are used phonetically for biliterals anyway. Right, verbs of movement have a built-in determinative. Seen as the verbs of movement, the built-in determinative is going to be the legs. So if you look at this one, we've got the legs are on the bottom of a reed leaf, and this verb is ee, which is a weak verb. You'll sometimes see that spelt with a Y in books as well. It'll be E-I-Y, brackets I. And another way of, it's actually another form of this, you see it is U as well. So this is the only time the legs will read anything, is in this, when you see it written like this with the phonetic complement W. Otherwise the legs are always a determinative, or always part of the thing. You'll notice in this first one that it's got legs on the EE sign and at the end as well. That's virtually always the case. So this one as well, so EE means to come, as in motion towards the speaker. Shemi means to go, as in motion away from the speaker. So we've got a sh sign with a pair of legs on it and an M. So that is to go. And then we've got ini, which means to bring. That's a pot on legs. So it's if you see the pot by itself though, it virtually always reads nu, so be careful with this. This one has got a pair of legs. When it's got a pair of legs under it, it reads in or ini. Right, okay. Looking at words in Gardner's sign list, that will be on the, it might already be on the Google Drive actually, but that will definitely be on there, because this is your, I always want to do the speech like in Full Metal Jacket, where he says, this is your rifle, like you will keep it with you all the time, you will do this thing, you will look after it, you will have it like this. I want to do that speech about Gardner's Egyptian grammar, but I'm not going to, because it's got lots of swearing in it and rude words. But anyway, Gardner's sign list, very, very important, because this is your standard thing for looking up signs to find out what things actually read. Quite often, just by looking at the determinative of a word, you can find its meaning just by looking it up in Gardner. Now, let's have a look at this word here. We can read it easily enough. It's 3 alphabetic signs, because you know your alphabet absolutely perfectly. Bedesh. We've got this man down here. So instead of going to Faulkner and looking it up under B, then going down towards D and going down to shirt and stuff, what you can do, you can go to section A. You know he's a man, and you know that man is section A. It's well worth learning these sections as well, so you know where to find things. The divisions of Gardner, and we can work our way along. We find, there it is, A7. And then we have a look at this to see who he is. We go to the A section, to the expanded thing. We work our way down until we get to A7, and we find this, which is an enlarged version of that. This is a man sinking to the ground from fatigue. This is apparently an occupation of a man, like man and his occupation. It includes sinking to the ground from fatigue and falling over. So it says here, when we look here, determinative, weary, weak, example, wered. That's got the determinative of it, that's not our word. But then if we carry on, we've got tire, then we find, there's bedesh, that is our word. B-D-sh, we find that bedesh means faint. That is actually faint as in to swoon or to collapse, not faint as in not clear or whatever. We'll see it's also determinative again and to be soft, but we're not bothered about that, because the reason we wanted to find that sign was to see what bedesh meant, so we've got that already. So that means to faint, okay? So that's the thing, if you know what these things are, because we've got all these different sections. We've got man, his occupations, woman and her occupations, anthropomorphic deities, we've got animals, we've got parts of animals, we've got parts of men, we've got invertebrates, we've got temple furniture, we've got boats and bits of boats, and we've got nature, earth and sky, we've got plants, we've got all kinds of things. So if you can recognise what something is easily, you recognise it's a plant, you know, that's section M, I'll go to there and have a look at that. So I say, oh, that's a man, obviously you go to section A. You think, oh, that's some kind of building, I'll go to section O. Or see, oh, that looks like something to do with the sky or something, or the sun, like a variant on the sun sign, I'll go to section N. So it's well worth learning all these things just to save you a lot of time rather than just going through these things. So if you can recognise what the sign is, you can go straight to the section and find it. However, if you don't know what the sign is supposed to be, you have to go to this, which is right at the end, pages 547 to 548. You haven't got 500 pages of things, you've just got the pages for the actual sign list. Yeah, so you've got tall, narrow signs. So those are things obvious, self-explanatory. Low, broad signs. Yeah, they're the ones that fill like a whole square horizontally. These ones that fill a whole square or fill the length of the height of a square vertically. These fill the width of a square horizontally. And low, narrow signs. They should fit a quarter of a square. Okay, but sometimes think a thing is a low, it does actually fill up like a whole square or something like that, and it's classed under low, narrow signs. I've got no idea what the order is with these. I don't know what basis Gardner used at all to put these into the order he put them in within the boxes, because it's not even like the ones which have got more parts on them, or the ones which have got more strokes, or the ones that they'd put them in the order of the sign list or whatever as well. I've got no idea what basis he used to these things. It seems like fairly random just to put the way you just put these things. So it's just a question, if you've got your sign, your tall, narrow sign, of just working your way all the way through until you find whatever, say, like, you know, there we are, there it is, V17, and then you go to the section to find it. You've got no idea what that thing is, but yeah. Right, so that's what you do if you don't know what your sign is supposed to be. Okay. Yeah, but once you've looked it up in Gardner, and once you've looked it up this thing, and if it's not in, if the sign list doesn't give you the meaning, Gardner's sign list, his big entry doesn't give you the meaning, you want to go to Faulkner. Which is the dictionary. We've also got that. That will also be on the Google Drive, and that works the same way with the dictionary as an English dictionary. But what you've got to remember, it's actually off the transliteration, not off the signs. Doesn't matter what the signs are, because there are some fairly silly dictionaries, if I may say so, which are grouped according to sign as well, which is impossible to find anything in them. But it's much better, and it's much better organised to do things off the transliteration of the signs. Yeah. Actually, to be fair, if you were using a computerised one or something, a database, it might be easy to do it from the signs, but it still means that you still need to know what the sign reads to see what the next sign is in the thing, where that's going to come. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, you go to dictionary. Dictionary works the same way as an English dictionary, but off your transliteration and in the order of the Egyptian alphabet, and the order which I showed you before in the phonetic signs, in the monoconsonantal or alphabetic signs. Okay, so that's the order, but it's off the transliteration. Right, okay. Oh, a bit of grammar. This is the grammar scribe. You'll see him a bit when we do some grammar. This means some grammar coming up. Yeah, he has a companion as well, Boris Karloff, in the Curse of the Mummy. So you might see him, might even see him today, in fact, and that means that there's really horrible grammar. But he's acceptable grammar, this guy. Well, in my opinion, it's acceptable grammar anyway. That might not be your my opinion. Right, masculine and feminine endings, just like most languages, apart from English, words are divided into masculine and feminine. Masculine words have no ending on them, which, if you want to be If you want to say this thing, you could call it a zero grade ending and put a dot with that thing on at the end if you want to be really clever. You better make sure you get everything else right if you're going to do that. Yeah, and the plural, masculine plural, is just determinative, if it's got one, plus plural strokes. Now you see I've got a faded W bird there. You do occasionally get a W actually written there. The plural ending is W to put on the end of your word, but it's very, very rare that you actually get a W written on a plural, on a masculine plural. Right, okay, feminine words end in T, followed by the determinative. Okay, that's feminine singular one, so just one feminine word. Feminine plural is determinative plus plural strokes, so it's T plus determinative plus plural strokes. Okay, this is the ending we've got here is WT, but there seems to be a bit of a movement that the feminine plural ending is also just T. It's written with plural strokes, but the ending is still T. But I'm going to stick to the old thing for the moment because you'll find that in Gardner and other books and things that WT is the feminine plural ending. Okay, I think Alan has given up putting the W in, if anybody has got Alan or they want to really go into Egyptian. Right, so masculine, feminine endings, masculine none, feminine T, the plural is masculine plural, plural strokes, and the ending is a W, and feminine plural, T plus plural strokes, and the feminine ending is WT. Okay. Right, now adjectives. Adjectives are describing words, and they follow the noun they describe and agree as to number and gender. So we've got masculine singular S, no ending, that's just a man. Nefer, good. So it's man, good. No ending on the nefer either, because it agrees with the S, so a good man. Okay, feminine singular, we've got a T ending, so set, so that's feminine singular. That's a female man, if you wish, or a female person, and then we've got a woman determinative. But if we want to describe her as good, it's neferet with a T. It's good or beautiful. So you see it has to agree. We've got a T there. Ooh, bloody hell. What's happened there? Where are we? Yeah. Yeah, and then we've got a T at the end of neferet, okay? So set neferet. So woman, good, and it agrees. Both got a T and then so good woman, okay? Plural, one bull is a car. So it's car biliteral with a bull determinative. And then we've got plural strokes, so that gives us the W ending, so that's car-oo. Okay? So that means if we want to describe the bulls as good, that means the ending on the adjective, which is good, also has to be W. So we put the plural strokes on that. Okay? So same with the woman here. We've got set. This has got plural strokes though. So this makes it, so the feminine plural ending, as we just saw, is WT, so that's suit. So that would be women, and if we want to describe these women as good, we've got nefer, but we have to have the same ending, which is T and plural strokes, which reads oot, so it's good women. Okay? Right, now, just remember that adjectives follow the noun they describe and agree to number and gender. Okay, because this is important for what we're going to do next, something new. But putting an adjective before the noun is a way of making a sentence. In these types of sentences, the adjective is always masculine singular no matter what follows. So if we look at this first, what we just had, we've got S, nefer. So man, good. A good man. Okay, that's not a sentence, is it? You can't just come up to somebody and go, a good man. Yeah? So that's not a sentence, that's part of something else. You have to say, the good man is in the house, or the good man listens, or, a good man is one who does this, and blah, blah, blah. So you have to make a sentence out of that. That's just describing a noun, a good man. It's not a sentence in itself, but we can make this into a sentence by switching it round. So we have nefer, good man. Just remember it's the opposite way around to English, whether it's an adjective or a sentence. So it would be good There's no word for is in Egyptian. Good is the man. You find like Semitic languages like Arabic and Hebrew and those sort of things as well. Also, this type of sentences, there's no word for is in those either. You just put the things next to each other. So it would just be good man. So it'd be good is the man. Okay? So notice the other way around. So it's Nefer S. So S Nefer is a good man. That's not a sentence. But Nefer S, the other way around, it is a sentence. Good is the man, which would mean the man is good. You would put that in English, wouldn't you? Right, now we could have a look at this then. So we've got here, we've got this again a bit bigger. Set, the woman determinative, so a woman, Nefer Et. Okay? So a good woman, you see it agrees there. It follows, Nefer follows, and it agrees. Got a T on it there and a T on it there. Okay? So what we've got there is Nefer Set. So we got it the other way around. Like, notice here, there is no T on Nefer, is there? No T on Nefer. So what we've got is good woman. So good is the woman. Okay? Which in Egyptian say the woman is good. This is the thing to note, that the adjective here goes before and it doesn't agree. Okay? That's the thing to remember. To do it that way around. So we can do it with the plural as well. So again, we look at that one again. We've got kau with the plural strokes, nefer u. So we've got the W and the W. It follows and it agrees. So it's good bulls. Yep. We do it the other way around. Nefer kau. Okay? Just nefer, no W or anything on that. It's the other way around. So what we've got there is good are the bulls. Okay, so the adjective's before and it doesn't agree. Okay, so the bulls are good. Okay, so this is what we're going to do it the other way around. So we can also do it with a woman as well. So here we've got women with the plural strokes, WT ending, T in plural strokes. Then we've got neferut, so ending with a T in the plural strokes. So that's good women. The adjective follows and agrees. WT, WT. Okay, so that's good women, not a sentence. Okay, but we do it the other way around. Nefer, okay, and suit. So good are the women. Hold on, I've got a question here. So I hope I've only got lots of questions there. Oh, it's so annoying that you can't see this come up on this thing. Okay. Somebody asking, presuming this was right at the beginning, how do you know when they are read the opposite way to the signs read the opposite way to how that they are facing it? It's basically because it makes sense that when you see retrograde inscriptions, because it doesn't make sense if you read them the proper way around. Okay. Do adjectives always follow the noun? The answer to that is yes. There are a couple of other things which, like key, which means other, which comes before, but that's not actually an adjective. It's literally the other one of something. Okay. Yeah, they do always follow the noun. So yeah. Some things which look like adjectives to us in English, which come before and not. So okay. How will we tell which the word ends in this case? Just a second. Well, you'd follow the same rules for finding where the word ends. It's the same thing there, that you just break it up into things that you know. Because you'd have nefer here. I presume you're talking about this one here, because that's the one we might have some trouble splitting that up. But nefer is a word that you know. It's a thing like that. That's why I would do it, and it doesn't have any of the usual endings on it, like T or W or plural strokes or anything like that. So you'd think the next word starts here, but it definitely ends there, because plural strokes always mark the end of a word, as do women as well. So if the plural strokes weren't here, you'd still mark the end of the word with the women. Yeah, I will put the splitting up text thing as well. It's well worth learning those, so I'll save you a lot of time in the long run. But yeah, the way you would know where one word finishes and one word ends here is because you've learnt nefer, because it's a really common word. I think you would do that, so that would be one reason to do it. So yeah, so that would be good are the women, which would mean the women are good. Right, now let's have a look at some examples from literature. This is one from the Tale of the Eloquent Peasant. Remember the guy who has his donkey stolen and then goes on and on and on for 10 petitions to pleading for about the nature of justice and saying why he should get his donkeys back, and then he takes a beating as well, and then the king orders his stuff has to be written down and brought to him every day, and they give his family back home like nice food and things as well. And then at the end, it all ends happily ever after because the corrupt official who stole the eloquent peasant's donkeys, has all his property taken away and given to the eloquent peasant by the king. So he's showing that the king doesn't tolerate corrupt officials, but he does like to listen to a peasant moaning for about 100 pages of hieroglyphs. But anyway, yeah, but this is an example for this thing. This is when the corrupt official actually steals the donkeys from the peasant. See what he does, the peasant has to walk along this riverbank path past this corrupt official's house. So what the corrupt official does is he puts a piece of cloth over the road so the peasant, he can't go without stepping on the cloth. So he says, when the peasant's about to go over the cloth, he says, "Would you have my cloth for a road?" And then when he tries to go up to and the peasant replies, this is what he replies, and he replies the same thing again when he tries to go up on the barley. He says, "Would you have my barley for a road, peasant?" And he replies this, which we're going to look at in a moment. But you can't go down the other side anyway because it's the riverbank and water. So if we split this up into these things, this one's actually quite tricky to split up because it's a ridiculously convoluted word coming up here. But what we can do is what we were just talking about now. We can get rid of nefer because there isn't a W or a T or anything on the end of that, which could go on the end of nefer. So now, when you see usually an M at the beginning of a word will be a preposition, but when you see it with this, because this is a ligature in hieratic, these two are joined together, it's not going to be the preposition M. So this thing isn't actually read either. This I sound this thing, but it is a way of writing it in lots of words because it comes out from the hieratic, which is actually a way of joining it to the next thing. So then we've got a man always marks the end of a word, okay, but also something else to bear in mind, plural strokes always mark the end of a word. So what we've got there, we've got a man sitting there by himself, which I'll come to in a minute. Right, now this word is pretty convoluted really because what we've got m to n, so meten. Then we've got a throw stick which reads 10. Okay, so that's what Garner will call a semi-phonetic thing because the determinatives, the phonetic consonants aren't on either side. Basically the thing is spelt out, then they put it again to confirm the reading of two signs. Now this is the problem with it. Every time a scribe writes a throw stick in a word for 10, just can't help himself. He has to draw a bird as well. This is it's just a convention of writing. If you draw a throw stick, you've virtually always got to draw a bird as well. Okay, so this word, it only reads meten. It's got nothing to do with throw sticks or birds or anything, but it has got to do with this sign, which is a road with shrubs growing on either side of it, stylized. It's one of these ones that's made up of lots of bits, like banks and dikes and shrubs down the side and cucumbers and lettuces growing along the edges and things, so it's made up of lots of bits, which it's got plural strokes, but it's actually singular. So what we've got here, what this whole thing actually reads is nefer meten equals E. Now this equals E, something to add to the things that we did last time. Remember we did equals F meant his and equals S meant hers. Now we've got this man at the end of things. If you put it on the end of a noun, equals I, it reads, and it means my. Okay? Well, this is one use of it anyway. This is the same use we've had before of equals F and equals S, meaning his, hers, and now this one means my. Okay, so what we've got here, meten means a path. That's why it's got the road determinative on it. Okay. Yeah, just forget this. The 10, the throw stick's only in there because it's spelt with 10, and the bird is only in there because there's a throw stick in there. So it's like, it's very, very annoying there. So what we've got here, we've got good, my, path. Good path equals I, my. Good, my path. Okay. If you wanted to say my good path, it would be meten equals e nefer. So that would be my good path, but that wouldn't be a sentence. But we've got the nefer here first, adjective coming before what it is describing. So what this actually means here is good is my path. So this is what the eloquent peasant says when Nemtinak, the corrupt official, says, you can't walk along this road because these are my clothes. Will you have my clothes for a road? And the eloquent peasant says, my path is good, you know, which basically means, or my road is good, or my path is good, or my way is good. Like my way is correct. It's you who's stopping it's you who's wrong by putting your clothes on the thing. And then, so when he tries to go round the side of the thing, he says, would you have my barley for a road? And he says, my path is good. So it means it's okay. If you won't let me walk on the road, I have to go that way. So that's still a good path or whatever. But this is what the thing replies. This is what the eloquent peasant replies. But the main thing is about this is that the adjectives comes first. So it's good, my path. So good is my path. I've got a question here, just a second. Okay. Is this use of an adjective an example of a predicate? Yes, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't like to go into that kind of grammar. But, yeah. Anyway, yeah, nefer meteni. So good is my path. Okay, so that's what the eloquent peasant says. My path is good. So, right. Okay, so that's an example of this kind of thing with an adjective first, followed by that. So there you are. You see, we're only on the intermediate course. You're already reading things from proper Egyptian literature there. So. Prepositions. These are very important. These, all kinds of things you need these for. They're used for all kinds of things. Basically, their basic function is to describe something's position in space or in time or in relation to something else. You should learn these plus all the meanings of them as well, because they're very common, especially this one. I've kind of put them in the order that you see them most. Really, well, it actually depends, but the most common one you're going to get is M, which unfortunately has loads of meanings as a preposition, plus other things as well. But so we got in as consisting of, by means of. Okay, so im before a suffix pronoun, so it'd be im equals f in him. Or if we just had the pronoun we just had, the suffix pronoun we just had in the peasant, equals I, you'd put im equals I, like in me. Okay. Are, towards, at, regarding, more than. N, to, for, because of, on behalf of. This one's slightly confusing because it looks the same as the indirect genitive, which we'll come to in a minute. Okay, her, upon, on account of. And this is the thing as well, spot where it makes sure that it definitely doesn't mean face. See, the difference if you had her s meaning her face, you would have her, okay, you'd have your face there, you'd have a stroke, and you'd have S. So that would just be her equals S, okay? And you would know that that meant her face. Now the reason you would know that was because if you wanted to say on her, okay, you'd have to do it like this. Because you always put the phonetic complement if you put a suffix pronoun. So her equals S on her. Her equals F on him. But you would have the R there. Her equals E on me. Okay. Yeah, her under or carrying. Remember, if you see a man under a sword as well, it means a man carrying a sword, or a donkey under 10 bags of grain, or whatever means carrying as well. It's one of its most common meanings. Her generally used in dates and things, or when speaking to lots of people, or dead people, or really important people. In by, we saw that when we were doing infinitives and captions. Hefet, in front of, opposite, according to, me, like, henna, together with. Just have a quick look at this. This is from the narrative thing that you write on your tomb here. So if we just do the whole thing here, because that, so we got plural strokes, always mark the end of a word. That looks like a reasonable thing there. And it's got a T on the end of it, so if you ignore the T's, the reasonable length. We've got the, again, we've got the person after the plural strokes. So that's going to be, again, equals I. Then we've got the land there. Remember the one I was talking to you about, the the ideogram, which has more than one thing, more than just a stroke. It often has this thing in to make that. That's tar land. Okay. Right. So yeah, we got heart tar. This is a thing which reads ha. This fish here is a bilateral reading ha to confirm the meaning. T for that. Okay. Right, here we can split this up. We've got an ideogram, but then we've got a man again, straight after a noun. So it can't be a man describing an ideogram or a kind of man, because it's an ideogram. So it's just going to be eb, which is mean mind or heart. So it's going to be eb equals e again. And then we've got m. Remember, always go for m. Very few words begin with m, written as an m. And then we've got another stroke there. So that gives us a T and a stroke, so that's going to be another ideogram. Then we've got equals I. Okay. So again, we've got a man after a noun. Okay, so that's not going to be a kind of man, it's going to be equals I, as in my. Right, okay, again we split this one up. Again we've got a stroke there on the first thing. It's just written in there to fit in the space better. And again a man afterwards. Okay, and then we've got, because you've learnt all your prepositions, we've got henna, and then we've got, again, we've got this man on the end. So this is what you say once you've been buried. Oh, well, this is what you're supposed to say, or you allegedly say, like in the afterlife or whatever, because obviously you can't say this because you're dead. But, yeah, so we just split this up. So we've got eb, e, het, e, and bar, e, henna, e. So the first thing we've got is this. So same principle. This we've got heart e, my corpse m preposition in. Then we've got tar ground. So that would be like my corpse is in the ground. Okay, this is what you say when you're in this thing. So we've got e, so my mind. Then we've got then het e, my belly or my body, m. So again it's going to be in, isn't it? So my mind is in my body. Yeah, because this is one of the reasons you keep the heart inside your mummy or whatever as well, is because that's where your mind lives, because you can't probably function without all your other organs in the afterlife, but you probably really need your mind. But anyway, yeah, okay, so then we've got the bar, so that's a stalk there, Jabiru stalk, so it's my Jabiru stalk on my bar, mine is in my soul, that's the bit that flies around outside the tomb and things and keeps an eye on your family or whatever and what's happening around and stuff. Yeah, so then we've got bar e, so my bar, then we've got henna equals e, so my bar with me. Okay, so my bar with accompanying me, so my bar is with me. And then you carry on and say, like, I am an excellent spirit. So this is just basically what you say when you're dead and all the rituals have been done properly. So you start off with, there's quite a lot more before this, and I've gone down from my town. I was one beloved of like my people. I was like, blah, blah. Then you say, my corpse is in the ground, my mind is in my body, my bar is with me. I am an excellent spirit. So, which means that you're fit to be in the afterlife. Right, let's have a look at the next thing. Here's another one made with a preposition. This is actually the name of a person, which is made up of a whole sentence. You see all these weirdos here. These are all like gods from the afterlife who slice you up, and you have to get past them to get into all these things from the Book of the Dead. These are actually on the coffin text, but this is a Book of the Dead version of it here as well. You see all these weirdos here. Look at this guy. Bet you can't guess what his name is. His name is actually like his head faces backwards. This guy is called His Head is a Snake. This one is called His Head is a Hare. So you can kind of see the pattern here as well. This one, he's not actually on this picture, but I just thought just an illustration of this, but I couldn't actually find a picture of this guy. He's on the coffin text. But let's split it up anyway. So we've got her, and then we've got F straight after. We know what that means. It's straight after a noun. So that. Now, is this going to be face or is this going to be on? There are two reasons why this is not going to be on. First one is you can't start a sentence with a preposition. You can't just say, like in English, you can't say in a cottage, in a wood, or whatever. Or you can't just say on the mountainside. You can't do that in Egyptian. You can't start a sentence with a preposition. That's one reason. The second reason is because we've got equals F after it, his. Now, if it was on him, it would have to be, as I've just said, it would have to be have the phonetic complement R if it was going to be on him. So that's two reasons why it can't be like. So her here is going to be the ideogram. It's a picture of a face. It's got a stroke next to it, so it's going to be a face. Okay, so it's his face. His face, and then we've got, again, always just go for M as the thing. There's very few words begin with M. Then we've got a hound at the end there, a nice saluki thing there with long legs and a curly tail. And we've got three letters. We've got ch, s, m. So what we've got is her F. So we've got his face, M, Chesem. Right, so what are we going to have M here as? Is it going to be his face is in a hunting hound? Is it going to be his face is by means of a hunting hound? No, it's going to be his face is as a hunting hound. So this is what we call the M of predication. If you look it up in Ghana and things, it's actually on the preposition sheet, which will be on the thing very soon. So this is actually going to be his face is as a hound. But this is, what you do in Egyptian, it's literally his face is that of a hound, you'd have to say in English. And what we like to do with these things is to hyphenate them as well. Should really hyphenate this one as well. It should be like for names to show that it's actually a name. So this weirdo's name is, his face is that of a hound, or that of a hound's face. Okay, I mean you get away in English really with saying his face is a hound, or whatever, or you have to say his face is a hound's, really, but yeah. So that's a name made up of a preposition there, with a preposition and a thing. So they've all got weird names like that, like his head is on backwards, and his face is a maze is another one. Okay. Do you recommend the hyphenation, the transliteration? Yes, I do. I just put that in now because I should have put it in before. It should be, you should always do that to show that you know that it's a name. You should always put the hyphens in like that to show that you know that it's a name. Remember, we've done that in the last course with all the pharaohs as well. When you put the pharaoh's name, you put hyphens between the things to show that it all goes together. Same with a name like Ren-F Seneb, which is actually a sentence. Again, his name is... well, it's actually a stative, which we've not done yet. It's his name is healthy. Again, that would be, you hyphenate that as well, just to show that it's you've not just written in the middle of the name like "May his name be healthy" or something like that. That he actually is a name. So, yeah, it's a good point that you should always hyphenate names. We do that with the pharaohs and things, and this one I should have done that there. You have to see I've done it in the transliteration, but not in the translation, but not in the transliteration. Right. Okay. Bit more on prepositions. Nouns made from prepositions. So we've got her under. Just put a T on the end. Cheret, what is under. Okay. Her on. Cheret, what is over. And if you put a determinative on it, it can be the sky or the ceiling. Or in the case of a person, it can be who is over as well. If you just put without the T, it will be a thing there. So, yeah. Or you can have M, but if you look at this, we've got imit, what is or was in. Okay. Now, if I've noted there at the bottom there, they all should have a Y in them, but it's rarely written. It should really be herit. It should be herit, like it is with imit. But now, remember, see, M has got an I on the beginning, because remember, if you add anything to the M, you have to put an I on the front of it. So if you want to say in me or whatever, or in him, or in her, or all those kind of things, you have to put an I on the front if you look on your sheet. So that's why you get that with imit. It's not just meat, it's just imit. Okay, right. Okay, indirect genitives. Now, a genitive is a word meaning of, or it's a way of relating something to something belonging to something else. Indirect genitives are the most common ones, and it's a word meaning of is placed between the two nouns. It has to agree with the noun before it. So if you look at this, it's just the same as the, well, it's more or less the same as the adjectives, isn't it, agreeing? So we've got N, like of, masculine singular, so if you had S, a man of Thebes, you just use N. But plural, like say something like bulls of Thebes, you'd have nu, except you wouldn't write it just NW, you'd write it with a new pot and a stroke. That's just to fill the space. That is, if you see that, it's not going to mean a pot, it's going to mean new, meaning of, plural there, because it's not going to be an ideogram. It's just to fill the space, so that's something to watch out for. The feminine one's the same in the singular and the plural. Net. Okay, there's no plural strokes on them, just meaning of. I see the example at the bottom there. Ren, N, Ra. So Ren is masculine singular, it's got no ending on it, so the word for of is just N. Then we've got Ra, so the name of Ra. Direct genitives are rarer because they've got quite specific uses. You just put the two nouns next to each other, and virtually always used just for names of jobs, buildings and things belonging to gods or kings. So literally we've got Sa Ra, son Ra, meaning son of Ra. Hemet Nesut. Don't forget the honorific transposition there. The king is only first because he's the most important. So it's literally wife king. So wife of the king. We've got, again, Horus is a god, so he goes first in the writing. But so Iret Hor. So I Horus. I of Horus. Okay. Then we've got Nebet Per. So lady house. Lady of the house. That's a job. Hemnetcher, again, honorific transposition. The god comes first because he's the most important. Hemnetcher, literally body of the god, a priest or servant of the god. Per hedge, literally house of silver. So house silver, house of silver, treasury. Again, we've got the god honorific transposition. Hootnetcher, literally palace of the god. So palace god, palace of the god, temple. Okay. Right, infinitives. We did these as well, didn't we, for the verbs and things. So an infinitive of a verb is the simplest form of it and has no tense. The best way to translate it from Egyptian is to use the ing form in English, which is called the gerund. Two basic categories of verbs in Egyptian: strong verbs and weak verbs. Now you can tell if a verb is weak if you look it up in the dictionary and it has I on the end of it in brackets, or 3I inf, which is the abbreviation for tertii infirmii, for those of you who know Latin, which means third week, or of the third week, belonging to the third week, it means literally. So belonging to the category where the third radical is weak. Best just to call it a weak verb rather than a tertii infirmii. Because if you get a four letter along with an I on there, they call it quartii infirmii, but those are rare. Yeah, so in the infinitive weak verbs, drop the I and take a T ending. So you look this up in the dictionary, it's iri, okay? But if you want to make the infinitive, it's iret, okay? That's the infinitive, to do, to make, to act, or better think of it as doing, making, acting, okay? Ini, look it up in the dictionary, find it's got an I on the end, so that obviously takes as a weak verb. So the infinitive is going to be in it, to bring, or bringing. You should always do that, always put ing on the end of things. I shouldn't really put that as to do, to make, to act, although they will put that in the dictionary, but always start with ing when you get an infinitive or any kind of verb, really. Right, okay, let's have a look at an example of use of infinitives. Captions to describe something about. So what we've got here, we've got this. So we've got n, biliteral j when you look up that basket of flax or something, or bucket of roses. And then we've got r, so we've got n plus j plus r, okay? So that r is the same as this one above it, so that's not going to, so the word, the n is not a phonetic complement of that, so the whole word is just going to be nedja, which means smoothing, so it's describing what's happening in the picture. Okay, it doesn't have a tense or anything because it's got to last forever, whether you look at it now or in 100 years, or you were looking at it yesterday, it's smoothing. You don't want them to have done it once, say they smooth the ship, because they've got to carry on doing it all the way through eternity. So, yeah, so this is why you use the infinitive. Right, another example here. So, this is one which is a verb which you know is ini. It's one you should learn that because it's got it's the one which got pot on legs as well, and it's ini. So you look it up in the dictionary, it's ini. It's a weak verb, but here we've got in plus a t, so that's going to be the infinitive of ini, isn't it? So it'd be int. So the verb means bring, so you want it to mean bringing with the thing. And then we've got gekes, which if you look that up in the dictionary it means a gazelle, but you don't need to look it up in the dictionary because here's the determinative. On the guy's shoulders, there's your gekes. In captions, they very rarely have determinatives because the determinatives are in the picture. So we've got ini, bring, int the infinitive, so bringing gekes, so bringing a gazelle, okay? Int gekes, so bringing a gazelle. So that's another example of a caption about showing you exactly what's happening in the picture. Right, you can also use them in titles or to set the scene. Right, these are dates. I actually set you this one for homework as well, so pay attention if you want to check if you didn't hand it in. Got Renpet. Yeah, Renpet Sep 8. So Renpet Sep 8. Her. And then we've got the hem, which you know, Hem F. His Majesty. You know all this is all royal guff, all things like that titles. So King of Upper and Lower Egypt, Nesu Biti. Then we've got honorific transposition, the Ra comes first, so we've got Ka. Then we've got 3 car signs. So what's the plural going to be? It's going to be a plural, isn't it? It's just written in the biliteral 3 times, or the ideogram in fact here 3 times because it means soul. It's going to be Ka'u. So it's going to be Ka-Ka-Ra. Then we've got Onk-Jet, living forever. Now this is where it gets interesting with the infinitive. So we've got his title out of the way. But what we've got here is, see, we can see the next word finishes papyrus roll. That always marks the end of a word. And then we've got Hem-F again. Now here we've got an ideogram again. We've got this thing next to that canal, and when you look it up in Ghana you find it reads Mer, and that's left us with this in the middle. Again, hardly anything begins with M, and then we've got a papyrus roll at the end, so we've got a Mar sign and a T, so that's Mart. Right, so what we've got here, we've got wedge, then we've got Hem-F. Now you find that wedge, when you look it up in the dictionary, it means to decree or to order. Okay? So what we've got is ordering, go straight for this thing, ordering His Majesty. So the ordering of His Majesty. Now we've got iri, to do or to make. So actually I'll put the, I'll do it first because it's split up. So iri, to do or to make. So iret, doing or making. And then we've got mer, canal, m, and then we've got mars, new. But mar itself means new, and if you just put a t on the end of things, like we've seen with the prepositions, it just means a new thing. Okay, so what we've got is year 8 in front of His Majesty, like that object. So we've got wedge, so ordering His Majesty, making a canal as a new thing. So the ordering of His Majesty, the making of a or as a new thing. See, this is a title, it's the beginning, it's got no sense to this thing. It's like in a newspaper headline, like or a caption under a thing, so like the laying of the foundation stone of the new hospital by the mayor or whatever. So it's just setting the scene to what's happening. We've got another one here for these. So I mean, you could say that it's literally as a new thing, but it's you could just say the remaking of a canal or a new or whatever. Well, it's exactly the same as Italian. In Italian, you say di nuovo, which means like again, literally meaning of a new thing. So, right. So again, we've got the date. We've got the year. Well, with this time we've got the month. We've got Arbed 3 of Peret. Now again, look for things you know. We've got Hem F, His Majesty. Okay. Now, if you look these things up for this thing, so you've got a stroke there. Now, this is tricky because you'd think you would do that, but you don't because it's things. So this is why you need to look up in Gardner. If you look up this sign, you'll find that you get this word here. That's all one word. And also, if you look up this sign in Gardner, you will find as well that that is all one word as well. The stroke is just there to fill in the space because they don't like to leave empty space. This one, oops, still using the eraser, is R. Heck, so this has got a foreign land on the end of it. There's no T or stroke, so that's going to be the name of a foreign land. Okay, see, sometimes the splitting up, you actually have to look up the words or the signs before you can do it properly, but it's very interesting. Which bit said Upper and Lower Egypt, no crowns or Semartawi? That was the sedge and the bee. I think I'll just hold on. I'll just go back and show you on this one just quickly. This is the Upper and Lower Egypt, Nesut Biti. It's a sedge plant and a bee, the symbols of Upper and Lower Egypt. Okay. Yeah, that's just a different way of writing the Samartawi and things like that, the uniter of the land or whatever. Right, okay, so yeah, let's get back to this one. Okay, so we've got year 6, month 3 of Peret. So we've got, the verb is iri, okay, but we've got iret. So that's going to be to make. So making His Majesty, boundary, res or resi, it'll say in the dictionary, look up, boundary, south, R, heck. So that's going to be, it's describing the boundary because it follows it. So the southern boundary at, and heck is the name of the place. And heck is actually Semna Fortress, which is down in Nubia. Okay. Right, okay. Yeah, so the making of His Majesty, the southern border at heck. Right, infinitives to make adverbs. See, again, we've got the same thing as well. This is a title from the Steeler of Sebek, who we did last time. So we've got legs marking the end of the thing, His Majesty again, then with M again, this thing, headet. The verb is heady. So it's got a T on the end, so it's going to be an infinitive. So what we've got here is proceeding, so wedgize to proceed, so preceding His Majesty, so proceeding of His Majesty, consisting of going north. So the proceeding of His Majesty in going north, or consisting of going north. So the proceeding of His Majesty northward. That's the way you can do adverbs with infinitive as well. You do M, consisting of doing something, or in doing something. Okay. Different use of infinitive in the same sentence. This is a kind of chapter heading from Sinui, remember the great hero of Egyptian literature. And what we've got here is, we split this up, is iret, again from iri, then we've got the person on the end. Then we've got this verb is shemi, to go, and we've got a T on the end and a pair of legs. Then again we've got an M, always go for the preposition here. And then we've got this thing is, we've got hent, then we've got, see, hent by itself is a word, but then if you do that, what are you going to do with this Y and a T? That's not going to be a word, is it? Eat. Okay. So it's going to be hent eat, which you've actually seen before, which is a weird infinitive of the verb hent, to go south, or henti, to go south. For some reason the infinitive is always written like that. So. Right, so what we've got here literally, so iret e, so we've got going, or sorry, doing, and we've got equals a. So my doing, shemet, going, consisting of going south. So what we've got literally is my doing a going consisting of going south. So if you want to put that into sensible English, it's literally my making a journey southward. So literally my doing a journey, or my making a going. So the best way to do that is a journey, henti, consisting of going south. So that's using that. So what we've got here, so we've got two infinitives here, plus here this is an infinitive used as a noun, and then we've got henti, and then it's used as an adverb there. So we've got my making a journey, or my making a going, or my doing a going, consisting of a going south. Right, participles. It's Boris Karloff here, because these are tricky, but you've got all this stuff on the sheet. So participles are basically adjectives formed from verbs. Like adjectives, they follow the noun they describe and agree as to number and gender. So active ones, what the noun did to somebody else. So the lion who attacked the explorer. So it's actually the way he's doing the action against somebody else. Okay. So for instance, we have Sir, an official, Jed, Matt Arts. So it's describing the official in terms of what he does. And Jed, remember, means to speak. So it's an official who speaks the truth. Okay. Remember, they've got to agree as well. So this one here, we've got worms, plural here, wenem, to eat, but it agrees there. So it's like it's describing the worms in terms of what they do, which is what they eat, and it agrees. So it's worms who eat or who ate rotten flesh. Same thing here, barquette, maid servant, like who takes in. Chesed means to receive. So again, chesed, to receive, describing the servant in terms of what a job is. So the maid servant who receives supplies, or yeah. And then here we've got charsut. Remember, that's the plural of an ideogram there. So we've got foreign lands. Then we've got aha, to attack, and you see it agrees and it follows. Or means to fight, but literally to fight towards somebody means to attack somebody. So we've got foreign lands, which, who attack His Majesty, or who attacked His Majesty. Okay. Okay. Right, passive participles describe a noun in terms of what is done to it. So the explorer who was attacked. Okay, who was attacked explains the explorer in terms of what was done to him. You'd use a passive participle. Now, this is the problem. In participate from strong verbs, you can't tell the difference between active and passive participles in any of the feminine forms because they all end in just T. So it could be a woman who heard, or it could be a woman who is heard, or it could be a woman who went. Sorry, not a woman who went. A woman Anyway, we see the point is that it's you can't tell the difference between them. It could be either. You just have to look at the context. Also, the plurals, masculine and feminine, active and passive, are exactly the same, just the normal plural one. So you can't tell any of the difference between those, whether they're active or passive. The only distinguishable one is the masculine singular passive with a W there. So we've got the child, said gem, etf. See, no ending on that. So we've got a child describing in terms of what he does. Who listens or listened to his father. If we look at this though, the voice, the voice who hears, but look, it's got a W on the end of it. It's not plural, but it's got a W on the end of it, so that means it's going to be a passive participle. So it's a sound which was heard in the desert. Okay. This is all on the sheets, all this stuff, which I'll put on the thing there. So, weak verbs are generally a lot easier to do these things. So, doubling of the last consonants indicates the participle is imperfect. So, irere is who does, who generally or continually does, who really does something, like intensive. So, what we've got here, we've got sart, so a daughter, mereret. So, that's imperfect. So, it's a daughter, so it agrees. This is what she does. She loves. Moot equals S, her mother. Okay? So a daughter who always or continually or very much loves her mother. Okay? See, it's doubled there. That's the important thing. The verb is meri, so it's got an extra R in it, so that means that it's intensive. Also, you can spot the passives as well in weak verbs as well, because they end in Y or YT. So who was done, or who, which was done in feminine. So if we look at this one here, we've got mechit, which is actually a participle using a noun in itself. It means literally the catch, like ini, to bring. So we've got init, we've got a Y on the end of it, makes passive ending. So bring, brought, so it's the catch brought to the temple. Okay, the catch of fish which was brought to the temple. Okay, nouns, form participles. Sejam, he who hears, sejamet. He who loves, jedet, what is was said, what was wanted. Mer, he who loves, one who loves. So the way to spot these is they usually got something like a preposition before them, on account of the one who heard or something, or on account of what was said or something like that. Again, you can't tell the difference between the active and passive in the strong verbs, so it could be what is was said or what was said, or it could be anyway. But yeah, but the main thing is this: the feminine ones virtually never mean she who hears. Okay, they're virtually always what's the thing that does something, or what was done something. So don't forget that. As an example from an offering stealer, this is a good one. So you split this up. We've got man with his hand to his mouth. So that's a very short word. That means oh, like a vocative. Another man with his hand to his mouth. That's the determinative for merry, to love. You know that word, onk. This one again, you've got a man with his hand to his mouth, so we can split that up. And that's from the verb mesji, which means to hate. And we've got a guy at the end there, and that means dead. You see, he's got blood pouring out of his head. So what we've got here is oh, merara. So who really loves, doubled there, life. Mesji, doubled at the end there again, weak verb. Who really hates, death. So it's, in English you have to put you in there, because in Egyptian it's like, oh, one who loves life, one who hates death. Okay, but in English you really have to say you who hates, thing or whatever. Okay. Oh, one who loves life and one who hates death, and then it carries on. May you say 1,000 of bread and beer for this person. 2 reasons here to be thankful that I am not God, I'm your teacher. These are the first examples he uses for participles here. Ark and irera and eru, which means it is more beneficial for the one who does it than the one for whom it is done, which literally means beneficial for one who does in relation to one who is done to him. Which basically is what the translation is there. This one, the one who gave a command is the one to whom a command is given. So it's literally who gave command, who is given to him is who is given to him command. So the one who gave a command is the one to whom a command is given. Right, homework. I think we just about got an hour and a half in there because we started 10 minutes late. So yeah, non-verbal sentences. This is the description of the land which the ruler gives to Sinui when he settles in Palestine. It's a description of things here. You just need to put is in where it's appropriate or whatever, or you need to put things. So we've got it's basically good to test like your prepositions and things and stuff. It's just a list of things really. of stuff there, so you need to put is in at various points and things as well. So yeah, and remember all your stuff about adjectives coming first and things. Right, thank you very much everybody. So we started a bit late, so we finished a bit late, so we had to rush the last part a bit there, but there's a recap and there's some new things, and this is what to test out on the new things there about the non-verbal sentences that you've done. One's either made with prepositions, meaning like, you know, of the type like he is in the house, or you know, goods are in it, or whatever, and things like good is the man, like the man is good. So okay, this will be uploaded immediately we finish onto the drive, and I will put the grammar stuff on as well. Okay, well, thank you very much everybody, and I shall see you next week. The pace will be a bit slower next week because we've got plenty of new stuff to do. So, but hopefully it all came flooding back, and you remembered everything, and hopefully learned some new stuff as well. But say if you want to go over anything and you're not sure about stuff, just send me an email and I will explain it to you. Oh, hopefully I'll explain it to you. But yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and I shall see you all next week. Okay.
Thanks, Joseph. See you next week.
Okay, thanks.